Hi, I'm Margaret Blaine, Life Coach, and this is the channel where I look at at how the mind works, its relationship to the universe, so that you can connect with your purpose, your deepest desires, and create a life that you actually love to live. So today we're going to be talking about, have you been unable to find your purpose? Because if you haven't been able to find your purpose, that doesn't feel good. You feel disconnected. You feel like you can't get your feet on the ground. You keep asking the question, why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing here? So, what can we do to help define your deepest desires? They come from the universe, and the universe speaks to you in a very quiet little voice that says, oh, I'd love to do this. Ooh, maybe this would really be fun. So let's look at some of your longings, the things that you would want to do. And I know that you know what they are. You don't have to, at this point, know how you're going to do them or any of those kinds of questions. Just the what. What would you love to do? And when we end this video, I want you to write those down. Then I want you to look at your discontents. And we look at these because this is usually what people are looking at the most, what they don't want in their lives, what they're dissatisfied with. And write those down. And then look at those. Let's say you don't have a supportive supervisor at work. You're not doing work you love. You feel unappreciated and invisible. And you're not valued for your skills. At least you feel that. If these are the things that you don't like about where you are, let's figure out how they would show us what you would like to have. Well, if you have an unsupportive supervisor, I think you'd like to have one that's supportive, wouldn't you? And I think you'd like to be recognized for the work that you do and the skills that you have. Finding out the work that you would love to do comes from your deepest desires. And we're going to know what that is before long. Now, this is the first way to be able to identify what the passions of your heart are. And I want to give you a second way. This comes from a book called What Color is Your Parachute, written by Richard Bowles. And this was an edition that I found in my early 30s, which is a long time ago now. But it was an exercise that absolutely kind of transformed my life. It really showed me what I was about. And it's been important for the whole rest of my life. So what he says is, think of 5 different times when you were truly, truly happy. What were you doing? Who were you doing it with? What was the environment? Like, were you by yourself? Were you working with a team? What were the environmental conditions of this? And then, when you have that, ask yourself, is there any common theme that shows up in each one of these? Well, when I did this exercise, I had put down being a meditation teacher, being a mother, and being a social worker. And on the surface, those don't particularly look like they'd be connected in any way. But when I looked at them more deeply, I realized there was a very profound connection. Every single one of them was involved with helping people to grow in some way. Then I understood why I'd never been able to sell widgets. I didn't care. It had no meaning for me. And nothing that I had done that wasn't helping people to grow had meaning for me. When I was looking for a future job, for example, or making decisions about how to spend my time, and the deepest desires are moving forward with them. Well, you may be saying things like, well, I just don't see a path forward. You're never going to see a path forward. The most you're ever going to see is one step. And when you take that step, then the universe will provide you with a second one. But you're never going to know from A to Z until after you've taken the path. Then you can look back and see it. Or maybe you would be saying, well, other people don't do this. My culture doesn't approve of this. I was trained for something else. My parents had a different plan for me. There could be a lot of different reasons like that. And you know what? You're unique. You have something to offer that no one else can. And it may require you doing things that nobody else has ever done. All the inventions that we have were created by people who did something that nobody else has ever done. And maybe you're one of those people. And nobody else owns you. Nobody. This is your life to live, not someone else's life for you to live. So maybe your parents want you to be a lawyer, but if that's not your love, don't be a lawyer. Or maybe there's a possibility that the thing you've been looking at doesn't really conform with some of your deepest values. Let me give you an example. There was a young mother who had been told by her father she couldn't go to college because she was a girl. And so she compromised, didn't even compromise. She just resigned herself and became a hairdresser. Well, she enjoyed it enough. But, she really wanted some adventure. And by then, she had a child already. But she wanted to go on a cruise liner, maybe cut hair on the cruise liner so that she could see the world. And her husband agreed that he would take care of the child while she was gone. Well, this particular adventure would have meant being away for 3 months at a time, over and over again. And she had another value, and that was giving her child what she needed to grow up happy and emotionally healthy. She just couldn't quite get herself to do it until she realized that this wasn't really one of her deepest values. But she had another thing that she had deeply desired to do, and that was to go to college and become an elementary school teacher. So rather than be away for months at a time, she decided to become an elementary school teacher and went to school. She was able to be at home with her daughter, and her daughter was in her first kindergarten class after she graduated. This was totally a part of her values. Or maybe you're talking yourself out of ideas that you're getting. I knew a young woman once who told me, oh, I don't get any ideas about my purpose at all. I said, well, what ideas have you gotten? Because the mind's always producing ideas. And she said, well, I had this idea that I should take this course at our local community college. And I said, but she said, I don't think I'd like it. I said, well, how do you know if you would like it unless you try it? Because once you start asking the universe things like, what is my purpose? You're going to get an answer. Oh, well, then all of her fears came up. And she turned to her husband. She said, would you help me register at the school? He was delighted. He wanted to get her off dead center. So he said, of course. The one course became 3, became 2 years in an out-of-state nursing program. She had found the passion of her dreams and had almost talked herself out of it. Which brings up another reason why you might not have moved forward with your dreams, and that's fears. And fears are a big subject that we'll be discussing over time. So what have we talked about today? We've talked about that in order to find your purpose, you need to explore your longings and your discontents. And I gave you an exercise from What Color is Your Parachute, which showed you how to look at 5 different times you've been truly happy in your life and find the shared similarities with them. Then we talked about how you might be not moving forward with these desires. Maybe you're talking yourself out of them. They're not in contact with your deepest values because of fears, because of what society or authority figures or parents might say, or because you don't see a path forward. Now, if you've been struggling with not being able to find your purpose, and you're having trouble moving forward, I'd like to offer you a complimentary coaching session. This is for people who really are ready to move forward, not for somebody who's basically happy being where they are. And in that coaching session, we would look at where you are now, where you would love to be, what seems to be blocking you, and the best step for getting you off dead center. If you're interested and you'd like to have a complimentary coaching session, come to www.calendly.com. I'll put the URL under the video. Come to www.calendly.com. And I'll look forward to getting a chance to meeting you. I'd love to hear your comments. Please send them to me, and I will talk to you